note submarine contact in the vital area. Away the Nixie team away. Away the Nixie team away. Set general quarters. Set general quarters. General quarters, all hands, main battle station. General quarters, all hands, main battle station.
You probably have never heard of them, and probably no one in chat or anyone that listens to this show has ever heard of them. And this group isn't them,
Then why would you bring it up right now?
but this song sounds almost identical
Don't say that.
to a group that I paid for this, okay?
Okay.
I
Okay.
paid for this.
Okay.
I bought the rights for this.
Okay.
Just thought I would tell you.
All right,
They,
all right.
they are owned by me because before I could even download this, I had to pay for it. So YouTube monsters and Facebook monsters that are looking to jump into Sack Heads crap, no, that's not going to happen. Anyway, what I was going to say is, this song sounds a lot like a group called Porcupine Tree.
Never heard of it.
See, I knew you
Never
would.
heard of them.
I knew.
Were they big like in the
that's true.
20s?
In the 20s, right? The 1820s.
Well, yeah, what do you think of 1920s? Come on, BZ. We all know how old you really are.
No, nobody does, and I'm not saying anyway.
Well, really, you can't put an age on Santa Claus.
No, and you can't put baby in a corner either.
Great movie, by the way.
Oh,
How are you?
it's great to see you back.
It is great to be back.
And I can't, well, you can't see, but we've got the bathroom window open and we've got the side door open because it's still hot as hell in here.
Yes.
So that we can get a little bit of blow through, so to speak. Because we've got the air conditioning going, but of course, what does that mean? That doesn't mean a damn thing anymore.
No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Well, I'll tell you what. No, I turned on the air conditioning, and basically what that means, I turned on the fan.
No, but not even the fan, right? It simply circulates hot air.
It circulates whatever the hell is in here.
Which is hot air because
Right.
it is the Shat Show.
Of course.
So what else would it be circulating right now?
Okay.
Except for our hot air. Did you celebrate yesterday's holiday?
Oh, you mean Juneteenth?
Yes.
No,
So-
and that's funny you should mention that because I put a little thing in my tickler file inside my Brainulus saying that I'm going to mention Juneteenth, and I thought,
Did you say you put a tickler in your anus?
no,
Is that what you just said? Can
No,
we
I-
replay that because it sounded very similar to
no.
that?
See, I know what you're thinking. Did he fire a French tickler or only five?
I don't know.
By the way, did you know that was a song by Warren Zevon?
French tickler?
The French tickler.
No.
Another reason that I love Warren Zevon.
No.
Poor bastard died of mesothelioma back in what? Okay, for everybody in chat. Oh, hey, Kaiser Schuff is in chat. Great to see everybody. We got Mike in chat. We got
Sosa?
Kaiser Schuff, Kaiser Sosa, right? in chat. I had Kaiser. He's a military dude.
In
I had a
chat?
Kaiser on the show.
Oh, nice.
Last night, and he talked for an hour. Got Whiskey
Very
Dale
nice.
in here. Got
Howdy.
one viewer in here.
Howdy, one viewer.
So, yo, BZ, my brother, and yo, Kaiser, my other brother from another mother. Good to see you. Okay, in any event.
So I want to talk about the reason I bring up Juneteenth is because I think Juneteenth is one of those holidays. It's under celebrated in America, and it is actually this is not Juneteenth is not a liberal thought about
it's
feel good holiday for minorities just because literally it is a legitimate important holiday, I think.
But it's a holiday with the name from hell.
Yes.
Why couldn't, if they're going to do that, why couldn't they have just named, I mean, for God's sakes, pick a name that's more applicable.
They did, Juneteenth. So here's look. So here's what Juneteenth is. On June 19th in 1865. So this is after more than 2 years after President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. So this is right after the end of the Civil War. Look, many of the slaves in the South still had no idea that they'd been freed, because even though the Emancipation Proclamation was delivered, the North had no way to enforce that in the southern states, because the southern states were still fighting the war of northern aggression. And so on June 19th, Major General Gordon Granger marched United States soldiers into Galveston, Texas, in order to spread the word that slavery was done. There were over 250,000 people still held in bondage in slavery, because of the fact that the Union, the United States, could not enforce the Emancipation Proclamation on the South. It was a separate country for all intents and purposes. It was the Confederate States. So after the end of the war, the Union Army, the American Army, came in and on June 19th freed the slaves, or spread the word about the Emancipation Proclamation. It's a big deal.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yes, and this is,
and rightly so.
Yeah, and there is immediate, obviously, celebrations and so forth. And Juneteenth became a holiday. This is not a made up holiday where we just need to show that they're different. This is a true African American celebration. Really, I think it's an American celebration, because it ended.
I would say that it's more American than specific.
It is, but we hear it is national. But I bring that up because we hear about reparations for slavery, and we hear about slavery as an issue in the Black Lives Matter movements, and in a lot of different movements, particularly on the left, and yet there's no celebration about the American government, the United States Army, coming in and really being the cause for this holiday, Juneteenth. This it should be a national holiday, I think. That is a great day in our history. We have the Emancipation Proclamation, but then 2 years after the fact, to have American soldiers come in and deliver the word to the southern states after they were brought back into the Union is something that should be celebrated by all Americans, but particularly the African American community in our country, I think.
And see, the funny thing is, I don't find it celebrated. I didn't. Did you hear anything really on any media yesterday? I mean, I watch fairly. This seems so weird to say, but okay, I watch Fox News, guilty. And I watch CNN, and I occasionally watch MSNBC, because I want to know what's going on.
You ever watch One America News?
No, I don't even know if I get it.
You should check One America News.
See, because I've got all HD channels. Are they HD?
I don't think so. But if you have Comcast, they definitely do not carry One America News.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I do have maybe I do have Cat Cam.
Yeah.
Because I've got Dish, so if
I don't know if Dish. I know DirecTV carries it and AT&T carries it. I don't know if Dish does.
Okay,
but Comcast does not. I meant Comcast. I meant Comcast.
Yeah, because it's not like Jesus. It's not like Comcast hasn't caused us here in the studio an assload of problems. Right. Especially, I have only good things to say about Comcast business.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, that's a bullshit alert. Just thought I'd tell everybody.
So Juneteenth is one of these holidays that I think, look, why is this not celebrated? We celebrate Black History Month, right?
Yeah.
We celebrate White History Month. No, we don't. We can't do that.
Where was it all day yesterday? Not a peep.
Nowhere.
Not a peep on any of the channels that I watch.
No, and how is it these African American groups don't celebrate? Honestly, I think this is one that should be look, Cesar Chavez Day. Give me a freaking break.
That's
okay. Well, yes, I get a day off for a fucking communist because he wanted freaking people to rise up against the man. Great. But you know what? This is a celebration where legitimately this should be a national holiday. Why? I never learned about Juneteenth in school. Did you?
No. Come on. Listen. I had to walk uphill in the snow to school, to a little schoolhouse that I helped build right after I was born.
Yes.
In the snow, in the haze, in the fog, in the dark of night.
In the middle of Trenton.
In the middle of... So, I didn't. especially growing up. Nope.
Oh, but you know why? That makes sense, though, because Juneteenth hadn't happened when you were still growing up.
You make an excellent you make an excellent argument for that. Now, that's actually some funny shite. Hey, listen, if I can't laugh at myself, who the hell can I laugh at?
Me.
No, I'd rather not laugh at you.
Yeah,
You're a really serious guy.
Oh, yes. I'm a very serious
You're
guy.
You're a very serious guy.
I'm a very serious guy. Yeah. I'm surprised at how this never gets celebrated every year. I want to see. I forget who does like the man on the street, right, where they walk around and they ask people about.
Before he became famous, God, there were two guys. Jesse Waters was one of them. Jesse Waters, before he got his show, and when he would get on to the Bill O'Reilly show every once in a while, he would do man in the street stuff. Plus, there's another guy, and maybe you can help me out in chat here, folks. And by the way, welcome again to Mike, to Whiskey Dale, to Kaiser, Beantown Billy, and one viewer. Maybe you can help me out in chat. There's another guy, and I don't think it's Jack Basabiak, but there's another one besides him that does man in the street interviews to prove basically how incredibly stupid Americans are. Because, yeah, don't really need much proof of that, because, yeah, we really are, especially the young folks.
Yeah.
But, yeah, daggone it. I can't think of the guy's name.
I'd love to go do a man on the street and just say, hey, did you hear President Trump wants to celebrate Juneteenth? And just to see what the response is.
Yeah.
But what I was disappointed about, I didn't hear, and I haven't heard. Maybe somebody can find something out there, and I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I'm saying I haven't heard. I don't remember an American president celebrating Juneteenth.
No, and
at least maybe they did. Maybe it was something small, but I've never seen a headline grabbing president whoever celebrates Juneteenth.
I don't think it's going to happen because it's not a recognized holiday. Do you see it marked? I'm okay, this is me being ignorant. I have to plead ignorance on this. Is this marked on any calendar anywhere? Because if not, then I can understand why people
let me see.
don't.
Whoa.
They don't know anything about this.
Hang on a second. I just pulled up my Apple calendar.
Okay.
And on my Apple calendar, let me make sure there's no personal information on this. It does, in fact, say Juneteenth.
Huh, okay.
So Apple actually has it marked, which I'm pleasantly surprised about. Okay. But how many people actually know what that is? I mean, very, very few.
I've quite admittedly, I've only been cognizant of that for the past, like, maybe 2 or 3 years. I simply have never heard anyone refer to Juneteenth. Although yesterday, driving around, I heard a bunch of radio hosts making reference to Juneteenth. And some of them said, hey, happy or welcome Juneteenth, that kind of thing, which made me realize, okay. No one really knows much of anything about that.
Apparently President Trump did issue a statement on Juneteenth.
Okay, all right. Well, if I didn't know Juneteenth, and a lot of people don't know about Juneteenth, do you or anybody in chat or anybody listening know what tomorrow is?
Yes, June 21st.
Okay, officially. What is it?
Thursday.
Okay, let's see. Here's what the directors do on the floor directors on a TV show. Like you want give me more. You want to draw it out.
You want a hug.
No, okay. I'll tell you. It's the summer solstice.
Oh,
so tomorrow is officially the longest day of the year. Just thought I'd tell you. And something new happened last night, just before I went on the show. For the past 2 weeks, the lava lamp, has been dead. And now that I found a light for it, because I bought a whole bunch of lights and none of them worked. And I found out this is a 25-watt light. So the lava lamp is lighted. So, folks, if you do like summer, then it's all downhill from here. Or if you like winter or fall like I do, I'm not a fan of summer at all.
I'm not either.
Then for me,
I like to be outside in the water.
Tomorrow is a great day because, again, it means it's all downhill from here.
Right.
And then, see,
So
tomorrow is the day
longest day of the year. Then.
Yeah, tomorrow is the day that I look forward to every year when, it's only going to get theoretically a little cooler from here, although this is Sacramento, so
it's going to be like 106 this weekend.
Yeah, it will.
So no. So apparently President Trump did give a statement on Juneteenth, but it's not a national holiday.
Simone was in chat, so I had to.
Which
I had to say
surprises
hello
me.
to Simone. So, hello, Simone.
How do we make this a national holiday, anyways?
Well, I disagree with you, but I
You disagree with me that it's not a national holiday?
No, I disagree with you that I think Juneteenth is like one of the world's. It's a really dumb name. We need to think of something catchy for the day.
It's also known as
it
is also known as Black Independence Day. Well, 1997, Congress passed something recognizing Juneteenth as the formal ending of slavery in the United States as a whole, and so it's also known as Black Independence Day. But yeah, we can call it whatever you want. Go for it, BZ.
Yeah, we could call it Rolling Donut Day.
Rolling Donut Day.
Oh, everybody already knows there is an official Donut Day, although I don't know what it is. Hey, did we? Here's one thing.
Yes.
We've been blabbing for almost 20 minutes now, but I do have a very serious question.
Yes.
Did we miss the annual Talk Like a Pirate Day?
I don't know.
Anybody in chat, can you tell me? Whiskey
When
Dale.
is it?
Whiskey Dale says donuts rule. Can anybody in chat tell me when official Talk Like a Pirate Day is? Because if it's on one of the days that I'm on or Sack Heads Clint is on, I want to honor National Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Nobody knows.
Oh, wait, no. Whiskey Dale says it's in September. Okay, well,
Okay.
we have National Talk Like a Pirate Day to look
Perfect.
forward to.
Perfect. So something else exciting that happened this week, Donald Trump, President Trump, vowed to create a new branch of the United States Armed Forces.
Okay. Damn it, Jim. That's what I was going to ask Kaiser Schuff about last night. That was one of the questions that I was going to ask him.
A separate but equal
and I thought,
branch
and I forgot to.
the Air
Damn
Force.
It, Jim.
Separate but equal branch of the Air Force. And he wants it to be a Space Force.
Yeah, see, I like the idea, but I think it's, in concept, it's an interesting idea, and you can name it the Space Force, but I think it belongs under the aegis of the Air Force.
Listen, you're just hearkening back to your days when the Air Force was part of the Army.
Here we go. Listen,
You
okay.
are hearkening back to your days.
Can you tell me the three names of what is today's Air Force? It changed its name 3 times.
It was the United States Army, and then it was
dismissing the Army.
You can't do. You
Okay,
can't
then,
say
all
we're
right,
3.
then-
That was
all right, then
valid.
4, then
you
4.
can't change
Okay.
the spec. That
Okay.
means I just get a free one. The Army Air Corps.
U.S. Army Air Corps.
Obviously the United States Air Force.
Yeah, there was another one in between the two. Insert one word. Okay, I'll tell you. It went from U.S. Army to U.S. Army Air Corps to U.S. Army Air Force.
Okay.
And then it went to
the
United States Air Force.
Well, this is going straight to United States Space Force. We don't need United States Air Force Space Force. That's ridiculous. But I think this is interesting because, look, we have privatization of spaceflight, right?
Oh yeah.
We have a ton of
Elon Musk is taking that over pretty much.
Oh yeah, yeah. And if he can do it, other people can do it, and
Sure.
other people can do it in other countries. And if they're doing that, the next logical step is to arm said spacecraft, right? Look at the merchant marines or the merchant ships way back when the seas were first being developed. They had cannon on them, correct? Same kind of thing.
Okay.
It's not a stretch, right?
Trivia question for the Air Force for military people. I know Kaiser will probably know this, so I'm not even going to ask him. Who was the general who made his name basically in World War II back in Europe, who was the main contributor of bringing in the U.S. Air Force. And can you tell me...
Was it Hap Arnold?
No. Or can you tell me one very strange quirk of this general? And one of the reasons that he carried a lighted or either a lighted or an unlighted cigar around with him all the time.
Was it Patton?
Nope. He was Army.
I know he was
General LeMay.
They were all Army in World War II, correct? It didn't split off till after.
Yes, but he was responsible for that. He ended up taking control of the U.S. Air Force or the
General LeMay?
8th Air Force. It was,
8th Air Force. He was based out of England.
Yeah, he was over in Europe, and then he made a name for himself. And General LeMay was a massive, massive contributor to the U.S. Air Force. And hey, Whiskey Deal got it right, LeMay. You're exactly right. And his quirk was apparently one side of his face, he very seldom smiled. And one of the reasons that he didn't smile is because he had some kind of an issue with his face. And so he had a cigar that he would carry with him all the time that he would put in his mouth to smoke, etc., to kind of try to hide that fact. Just little bits of trivia for everyone. Oh, Kaiser Schuff says, yep.
Well,
Curtis the Cigar Chomper. And it's true. That is Curtis LeMay.
Well, look, I like this move, and I like this move for a couple different reasons.
Okay, you like that it's going independent.
I do.
You like that it's going to be independent of the Air Force.
I do. I really do. Because I think President Trump understands this from a business perspective. I think it gives more opportunity for creativity in terms of what it can do. Right? If you maintain something that you want to spin off from something else, it really doesn't get its own identity, and it tends to be boxed in by traditions of whatever the original X is.
Okay.
Correct? And I think that can have a boxing in which can stifle creativity and growth, and therefore ultimately limit capability as a result.
No one puts the Space Force in a corner.
No one puts the Space Force in a corner.
Nobody.
So I think that by having it its own completely separate branch right off the bat, the Space Force will have an opportunity to find itself, acquire its own identity, define its own mission with people that want to be there, with people that want it to succeed, not necessarily, oh, shit, we have to create this program because we have to create this program and now we're responsible for it. They're going to get some of our budget and all this other stuff. Another reason I like this move, I'm sorry to interrupt, BC, but I want to get this out.
No, you're not. You're not sorry. Be honest. You couldn't give a crap less. You just interrupt whenever the hell you want.
Listen,
be honest.
You get 4 fucking days a week on this. I get 2 hours a week, okay? You can say whatever the fuck you want to say on your other shows, but for right now,
okay, that's twice you've made me laugh out loud.
The other reason I like this move is because I think that China, I think that Russia, the two main ones I'm thinking of, potentially Iran, are looking at this realm also. We are not unique on this. I think President Trump knows history. I think he remembers how the Russians kicked our ass the first part of the space race. And I think he sees this as kind of the next area for militarization or expansion that some countries will be willing to explore and go into. And just because maybe some people find it icky doesn't mean we shouldn't be ahead of the curve on it, because this is one realm where we certainly do not want to be behind the Russians, the Chinese, or anybody else.
Whiskey Dale in chat makes an excellent example. He says, hey, Sputnik.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I said, hey, President Trump is a student of history, I believe, and he understands how the Russians were kicking our ass in the first part of that space race. It wasn't until Kennedy kind of kicked us in the rear, and we wanted to land a man on the moon before the turn of the decade, that really kind of lit a fire. But that being said, he also wants to return us to the moon. And he also wants a manned flight to Mars. Now, why is returning to the moon important? Well, if you're talking about building a space force or having some form of military capability in space, defensive or otherwise, an outpost on the moon is a pretty damn good place to start.
Okay.
But
You're starting to convince me.
But particularly since you're potentially use that as a step off point to Mars, right? Easier to launch another vessel from the moon to Mars rather than having to expend all kinds of fuel and everything else to leave the Earth's gravitational pull. But if the Russians are doing it, and you know damn well they're looking at it, same with the Chinese, there's a reason he's actually sacking up and making this move. We don't want to be behind the 8 ball on this. I mean, do we want to be having Russians or the Chinese with military capability on the moon and us with no way to deal with that?
Remember Dr. Strangelove, he said we cannot have a mine shaft gap. And perhaps Donald Trump is realizing we cannot have a space or Mars gap.
No, and that's absolutely correct. So I like this move. As much as I am concerned about the budgetary implications and paying for this program, I actually
you think it needs the focus that it's about to get?
I really do. I really do. I think that we are rapidly approaching a point where, particularly with the privatization of spaceflight and with everything that I've previously mentioned, I think we are rapidly reaching a point where that is going to happen. Whether
it's so significant now
it is
that it deserves its own separate sixth branch.
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
By the way, Kaiser Schuff in chat says it should be our space navy. And Simone says Mars is already in play. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to leave this trivia question for everybody. You may already know the answer to this, and Kaiser may already know the answer to this, but I'm going to throw this out here, and you guys think about it during the break. The space shuttle had any number of reasons for its existence, but early on in the creation of the program, it had what one of its creators considered to be potentially its most important role in space.
Retrieving Russian satellites and bringing them back down.
Yeah, you're supposed to answer that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to let everybody
stew
over that over the break, so fine. Go ahead and Bigfoot my ass. Okay, I said it was Jesus.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't.
I was going to see if anybody in chat knew.
I'm sorry.
Now, I knew that there were going to be some people that did know, but one of the primary purposes originally of creating the space shuttle was to open the little top doors, and there would be an arm that would come out, and if you wanted to snatch, I don't know, China's satellites right out of the fucking orbit, and snatch them right out of geosync if you wanted to, you could go put the habeas grabus on someone's satellite and pull it into the bay, and hey, possession is 9/10 of the law.
Yeah, you abandoned it into space.
Right.
Not my fault.
So, hey, we have the means, the motive, and the opportunity to snatch your shit right out of the sky. So guess what? We're gonna do that.
We're gonna do it, and I guarantee they did it. So I don't want to say I cheated a little bit, but let me tell you this about me. I actually I attended space camp when I was a wee tyke.
Okay. Can you hold that thought? We got to go to a break.
No, we can go on a break a minute later. So let me just say this.
Okay.
I helped name a space shuttle.
Did you really?
I have the certificate to prove it.
Did you bring it with you?
I did not, because I didn't know we were going to be talking about friggin' space shuttles.
Well, what good is the certificate? You can talk about a certificate. I can talk about being a doctor, but unless I have the certificate on the wall behind me,
here's the difference. You're full of shit, and I'm not. When I was in 7th grade, it was an orbiter naming competition to replace the Challenger, and so NASA opened it up to schools because Krista McAuliffe was killed.
Okay.
On the shuttle, and my class actually was a class that came up with the name Endeavour for the Space Shuttle Endeavour.
Really, what year did that kick off? Do you remember?
7th grade, so yeah, I don't know. I'd have to do math. It happened in math.
Okay, well, that would be bad then.
Yeah, it happened in math.
Okay, in math class. All right.
Actually, it was. My math teacher did run that group because she was one of the top 10 finalists.
Oh, okay. Well, with that, tell you what, we're going to come back. You know what I didn't do?
Take us to break.
I didn't read the intro to the damn show.
What?
Because
What?
I was so smitten by the fact that you were here tonight.
What?
It's true.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sack Heads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sack Heads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sack Head Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, the bloviating Zeppelin, sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny, and we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday nights.
S-H-A-T.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same Sack time, same Sack channel.
SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, BZ. So the plan's working. You got rid of Sacco. Sean is now stepping away.
I never even saw him.
And I know, and insidious. You know, we talked about this for for the last 3 years, and finally coming to fruition.
You know, I'm still in the room, right?
It's almost like he's here still. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's kind of.
It's amazing. It's kind of
at you.
It's kind of eerie.
Kind of a poltergeist.
Like a poltergeisty thing.
Yeah, Sackheads Against Tyranny.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Okay. See you, sir. You can't see, but that happened to be Sackhead Sean as he dropped into the show here, and he said hello to Clint.
Yes, he did. Wait, hang on. We heard his voice.
Yeah, we did. So people who think that Sackhead Sean is gone, he's not really gone. He's just behind the scenes. So come on over and at least look in the camera.
Hi. I told you I'm alive.
Again.
So it's great to see Sackhead Sean. Just to let everybody know that he's still alive.
Now,
he really does exist.
We just talked about Juneteenth.
Yeah.
And we talked about the importance of the Space Force.
I agree.
That Donald Trump is putting forward.
I laugh.
Well, here nobody can hear you, so come on.
Yeah, I know.
There's a microphone right here. Come here, right here.
No, that's not
I want
plugged
to
in.
get Sackhead Sean's take on this.
Yeah.
All right. Here's my deal on Space Force.
Doesn't it sound like a cartoon show?
Because I'm so wide awake for
I
this,
think
too.
it sounds like a cartoon show.
I think
it's not on.
I don't think 2's ready to go.
No,
I think
it's
we
not
moved
on.
some stuff around. My thing on Space Force is quite simple, and I mean this. Out of all the things this guy's been right about lately, how the fuck do you even argue? You're like, all right, Space Force it is. Seriously, I mean, we started Star Wars under Reagan in the 80s, right?
It was under George Lucas.
Well, right, in the 70s, right. But at some point, you have to think the technology will make that jump to think that this should at least be something we should have a plan for. He's not necessarily talking about putting, laser suits on people and all this other shit yet.
Although you could.
But the simple fact of the matter is we didn't just wake up on a Tuesday and decide to have a revolution. There was some build-up to it. There was some planning involved. You had to get some things strategically in place. If all of a sudden, by the way, Russia, China, some other ones who are making regular trips into space that we don't make anymore, if all of a sudden they have a huge advance in technology, which is possible, right? The assumption that we're the only ones who have technology and ability has to kind of go away at some point. I know the left wants you to think that it's amazing what we're exceptional at in the eyes of the left and what we're not. No one else will ever touch that. We don't need to spend money on military, blah, 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 blah. Same idea. You kind of have to have some sort of fucking plan in place, I would think. The name? Okay. He could have come up with something better.
Okay, well, name it. Go.
I haven't come up with a name yet.
I don't know. It's kind of cartoony, like it's a Saturday show, Space Force.
Right. It sounds like SWAT from the 60s.
Yeah, it does.
Like it's like, but not even like Star Trek cool, like really campy TV show in the 60s.
Space
over
Ghost.
the top.
How's about Galaxy Force?
Galaxy Force wouldn't be bad.
Galaxy Force, that's not bad.
We need an acronym that spells space.
Bad.
Like super
Place-
plutonium astronautical
super places
combat
and
enforcement.
Super places and comets.
Secret.
And comets.
Secret.
Ooh, secret.
You gotta start with secret.
Secret is always good.
Secret. I'll get back to it.
Okay.
Astronautical has to stay.
Yeah. Secret astronautical
combat explorers. Right? So they're exploring space, so you can still do it under NASA, but they have the ability to engage in combat if need be.
The problem is we've already forgotten about the P. Now, I went P about a half hour ago, but we've forgotten about the P in space.
Right, so do you arm...
National Aeronautics and Space Force.
In space,
NASA.
In space, remember, no one can hear you pee.
Trust me. Everyone hears me pee everywhere else, though, somehow. So, you know what, though? Along with this, if he doesn't start the program for Rods from God, he's out of his mind. Like, you're missing an opportunity.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait.
Do you know what Rods from God are?
Now, that's funny because Kaiser Schuff here in chat mentioned it, and I was going to brace him on that. And it's funny you should mention it after he mentioned it because I don't know. So what is it?
So Gods from Rod are essentially a giant satellite filled with these tungsten rods. I forget how long they are. They're pretty sizable, obviously. That they can obviously do math because they're NASA, and release them appropriately to enter the atmosphere in orbit, pass through orbit, and hit a certain spot on the Earth, it's the equivalent of a nuclear bomb without the fallout.
Are we talking about are we talking about hypersonic stuff?
I believe so, but it's you don't have any. There's no fuel onto it. It's just a tungsten rod that they jettison out at a certain time. Its natural weight will carry it through an atmosphere orbit. They've already had it all timed out. From what I've read, mathematically, they can do it. Getting the payload up is the hard part.
Okay, now Kaiser Schuff says
you should know something about that.
They are DU, not tungsten. So Kaiser Schuff, what is DU?
Depleted uranium.
Oh, depleted uranium, of course.
Yeah,
like the A10 Warthog shoots.
Right. So
okay.
From what I've read, there's two options: the depleted uranium and the tungsten. It has to do with weight differential, et cetera, jettison it from the mothership, if you will. But it does create a nuclear-sized blast without the fallout. So,
see, I would also expect that some kind of hypersonic quality is injected into that because obviously I think it occurs at an incredible breakneck speed.
Well, yeah, so I mean,
just like
I don't know what maximum velocity would be for it.
What is the maximum velocity of a sparrow?
An unladen swallow.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Unladen swallow.
At least 3, Clint says. And I agree, it's probably somewhere around 3, maybe 7. If they really get zipping.
Yeah, I said at least.
At least. No, you're right. Okay. I'm just saying if those fuckers are zipping, they could reach 6.5, 7.
Yeah, now zipping is actually a quantified term.
No, that
it is quantified.
It's like 6.748.
Yeah, that's something. It's close.
Yeah, that's the technical term.
It's close. And then you have the thingamabob and the who's-majigger.
Yeah, the doomaflachi.
So, but I'm saying at that point, if we're going to do the Space Force, and I don't think it's a horrible idea. Look, all joking aside, as I said earlier, you have to understand the fact that threats evolve. There's a reason why Reagan wanted to get to space with the Star Wars program. There's a reason Kennedy wanted to get to space before just making the Russians look like a bag of shit.
You want to hear
That's
something
why we
weird?
got to the moon.
You want to hear something weird? Kaiser
By
Schuff,
the way, still the moon champions.
Yeah. Kaiser Schuff is sort of my military go-to guy, and what he said in chat was that all Trump did is declassify the Space Force because it already has existed in its own right. And I find that interesting, too.
Well,
As its own separate, unique branch.
Pretty much.
Well, and so...
I knew there was a space command under the Air Force.
Right. I think that mostly had to do previously with ballistic missiles
and airspace.
And the atomic program.
Right.
When we drop things and measure them in megatonnage.
Well,
the first Space Force ship needs to be named Enterprise.
Fuck yeah.
And it has to be 1703?
1703?
Yeah. NCC 1701.
1701.
Yeah, that needs to be emblazoned on the side of the first one.
And if the second one isn't the Millennium Falcon, then we're out. I mean, seriously, right? You just have to go through all of them.
Oh, yeah, got to.
All of them.
Yes.
But the reality is, and the Kaiser may be correct, right? It sounds reasonable to think that there's been plans for space warfare for an extended period of time.
You would hope that the people in the Pentagon would be thinking about this shit
absolutely.
for a long, long time.
And seeing how we were ready to weaponize space under the Star Wars program to begin with, you have to think that, especially at that time when technology was less and manpower was used more regularly for combat, that they were assuming at some point people would be in space fighting other people.
How awesome is it, though, that we pull out of the UN human rights, and by the way, fuck you, we have a Space Force.
We're going to space. You know what? We're going to start our own. We're going to start the UP, the United Planets.
No,
we're going to be the only ones with the seat.
That's right. We are
going
to be
Russia. We're vetoing you.
The founding members of the UFP, the United Federation of Planets.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah!
And we're going to have
now
every
you're
seat.
talking.
And the ambassador from Earth, that would be the Americans, and it's me.
That's right.
And we're going to bomb Jupiter.
That's right.
I heard they had oil.
Oh, the Russians have an outpost on Mars. You need a permit.
Yeah, they didn't get the right permits, and we actually have code enforcement going out there right now.
Remember the phrase?
California too.
Shutting it down. Shut it all down.
There used to be a phrase: "Earth first. We'll mine all the other planets later."
Right. Well, we need to start mining.
The funny thing is that people have already said, in terms of science, etc., there's a lot of crap out in the universe.
Oh, tons.
Just waiting to be mined for
that
all
has
of
to
its metal.
But so now you make you equate that to oil on this planet as we speak, right? How many wars have been fought over oil? right, wrong, or indifferent. Resources. How many wars get won by resources, right?
Wars that started because of resources.
Right. And I mean,
got involved in World War II for resources.
exactly. And how did we stop the Germans? We cut their resources.
My God. Kaiser Schuff just mentioned, and I had completely forgotten about this. This was a great book. He reminded me of Gerald Bull. And for those who are not aware of Gerald Bull, and I read his book, which is why I am, Gerald Bull created a fixed cannon to be shot. The thing was huge, massive. In Iraq, he was working for the Iraqis. I think he was working for Saddam Hussein, but he had this idea for a fixed cannon.
Heard of this guy.
He had an idea for a fixed cannon that could shoot a load hundreds and hundreds of miles and come out of nowhere with massive explosives.
It was designed for Israel as the target.
And he managed somehow to get all these massive casings into Iraq, classified as like construction equipment,
of course,
and whatnot. And then Dr. Bull, working for Iraq, just as you mentioned, the Israelis got wind of this, and they were the people that basically snuffed Gerald Bull, and that program died.
Funny how that works out.
Yeah.
Don't piss off the Israelis. I think we should all, that should just be a well-known fact, and yet countries keep doing it. And then all of a sudden, Israel shows up. Oh, well, exactly. Because it's on U.S. soil.
He didn't care who gave him the opportunity to build what he considered his life's work. He just wanted somebody to be able to fund it, whether it was the Iraqis or somebody else. He did not care.
Hey, if Kalashnikov was contacted by the Americans at one point, then Vietnam War would have been Americans would have been carrying AK-47s.
Without a doubt.
That's just the highest bidder. He happened to be from the country that he served, but that's not everybody.
The finest and most hardened, simple, and easy to operate firearm that I'm aware of.
The AK, yeah. So we're in space, and while we're there, I want to bring up another subject that's space related. Obviously, I'm for the Space Force on some level. It's got to be a high level, atmospheric almost. Yeah. I mean, really, they're going to hit this one into orbit. But maybe either of you can explain this to me. How is it that we just found life on Mars as a microorganism, right?
And water.
They didn't call it life.
No, everyone's calling it life.
Okay.
Because it's life on Mars, because it is a microorganism that can exist. That is considered life.
I thought they said, well, we're not calling it.
Well, right, because this argument came out quick, and I saw this on Twitter when they announced that. How is that being considered life, yet an unborn baby not?
Well,
help me out, science.
Easy if you're a Democrat.
Right.
Very simple.
I feel like I'm this gender.
Help me out, science.
Yeah.
Do you have a penis or not? And no, not in you, on you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure. But yeah, no, I'm all for the Space Force, my friends. Sign me up. I want a laser gun.
This is again.
I'm afraid
also,
of heights. Can we get around that?
Oh, yeah.
Kaiser Schuff is saying in chat that Israel is not responsible for the death of Gerald Bull, and I'm trying to get it out of him. And Simone says, well, Tesla, if I had to have guessed, might have contributed posthumously. And Kaiser Schuff says, very close,
yeah.
Simone. Close. Come on, Kaiser, out with it. If it wasn't Israel, who killed Dr. Gerald Bull?
The only other person that could possibly be would be the Iranians. And you're just going to start looking at enemies of Iraq at that time. Because I think that was before we invaded the first time. I think it was in the 80s or maybe early 90s when they still had very tough sanctions, which is why it had to be classified as construction equipment. I think. I could be wrong.
He cheated like hell to try to get all of those products and implements in there. Because
of course he did. How did North Korea get nuclear weapons?
Well,
yeah, it could be the Canadians.
Oh, you know what? Let's backtrack a little
can't
bit.
Trust
I can tell you
maple syrup
I can tell you
bastards.
exactly how they got nuclear weapons. William Jefferson Clinton.
No, I understand that.
Who gave it to China? Who gave it to them?
Right. But at the time, with all the embargoes and everything else, they shouldn't be able to build a grass hut. Yet we somehow find a way around it. Same way that the Iranians got how much money just because from the Obama administration? This shit happens all the time.
Yeah.
And now that money is being spent
billions,
bombing
plural.
Israel. Right.
That money is going into Israel as munitions,
Yes.
as rockets and
Absolutely.
missiles.
And did you see that too? That the Palestinians are using the Japanese tactic that they tried in World War II with the balloons that were going to start the massive fires.
And the kites.
And now they're using the kite fires to destroy the agriculture over there.
Yep.
But that's not, they're talking about war crimes, but destroying the food populace, the food chain for the population is not somehow a war crime. It's hit schools, it's hit all this other stuff. It just amazes me. I am so glad we pulled out of the UN, the human rights aspect of it.
You know, on the other thing, back up a little bit, because can you imagine being a leftist today?
No.
And having basically the bulk of all of your ideals, you're watching them being torn in front of your face, not just on a monthly basis, not just on a weekly basis.
On a daily.
You're watching your ideals being brought down on a daily basis.
And you're watching some of your heroes getting close to being brought down with it.
But we got a segment. We're going to run out of.
I know.
We're going to run out of room. Now Peter Strzok is saying he's going to testify.
He has to.
And
Immunity.
you don't.
Immunity.
He's not going to pull a McCabe. He's not going to say, well, you know what, I'm taking the fifth. And he's not going to pull a Comey, who has basically said, hey, fuck you to the Congress.
Right.
I'm just not appearing.
I think that they're already offered him immunity. You fucking get him in front of a microphone. You get him on the record. Unleash Trey Gowdy on him. Unleash Trey Gowdy on him.
Speaking of that,
as a matter of fact, if I was on that committee, my only words would be, I yield my time to Representative Gowdy.
I don't know if you heard
every time
Gowdy over this past weekend. And again, it's another reason. People used to ask me all the time, why is Congress so feckless? Well, Congress can't do anything. When you would appear to testify in front of him, they didn't have the power of discipline. But if there were two people that, in my estimation, could pull people apart limb by limb, it was Trey Gowdy and Jason Chaffetz.
Yes.
Some of the finest excoriations of idiots in open testimony was conducted by both of those guys.
And you had two sides of the coin. You had the legal aspect with Trey Gowdy, where he was just rip you apart like a lawyer should, destroy your whole argument.
Interesting, because let me ask you this.
Yeah, and relative to U.S. code, blah 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 blah, sir, and then you had Jason Chaffetz, who did it like kind of a man. Logic and a man. He went after the end.
That was exactly. He would use the logic molecule on you, and he would say, if this, then that, and why didn't you, etc.
Yeah,
slitting the throats of all the people that he got in front of him, if you didn't like, with the knife of logic right here. I used to love to watch these guys work.
I still go back and watch sometimes on YouTube. I would love to see Trey Gowdy.
He doesn't want to be in politics anymore. He's made that very clear. And can you imagine?
But
Trey Gowdy as can you imagine Trey Gowdy as a nominee for SCOTUS?
Oh, I would love that too.
No, I can picture Ted Cruz as a nominee for SCOTUS. I can picture Trey Gowdy as Attorney General.
And then nominee for SCOTUS later. But here's the thing with Trey Gowdy, and then Supreme Dictator. Yeah, well, of the United Planetary. It doesn't matter. But like you said, you brought up Trey Gowdy wanting to get out of politics, and I think Clint nailed it right in the head. You're not a politician when you're the Attorney General. You're an appointee.
Hey, tell you what, you guys keep talking.
Nope. It's almost break.
No, we got another 5 minutes. I was thinking, hey, you guys chat, and Clint, you come over here, and I'll see if I can set up the third mic over there. All I got to do is plug it in.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So, hang on. I'll go over there, and I'll see if I can make that work. And Clint, you... Oh, shit. And I'll see if I get the other mic working.
Is this thing on?
Yeah.
What do I do?
3 a.m.
There are so many buttons in front of me right now.
3 a.m.
This is, what am I doing?
3 a.m. I said.
There's all these buttons.
I was up at 3 a.m.
Just one topic.
It's 9 p.m.
Just one topic, he said.
It's 9 p.m. Hey, just answer this fucking question. What are your thoughts on, hey, motherfucker?
Okay, so riddle me this.
Yes.
BZ and I were talking earlier,
Mhm.
and we love Nikki Haley.
Yeah.
The fact that the United States is out of the UN human rights. Group.
Beautiful, brilliant idea.
Right?
Love it.
Nikki Haley for president?
Yes.
after Trump's second term.
Absolutely. So, and I think that Nikki Haley is where she is in the UN to bolster her for president. You think about it. If everything keeps going the way it's going, as much as the left doesn't want to admit it, Trump's being successful.
Oh, yeah.
And
Look
the
at the jobs numbers. Look at the economy.
Yes.
Look at the lowest unemployment rate for women since the 50s. For
minorities.
For the black community, like ever, right? Yes. Ever since, slavery.
You're now getting to the point where companies are having a hard time hiring people because there's not enough candidates.
Yes, the food stamp program?
Yes,
lowest rate in 8 or 12 years or something like that.
And that's just one thing, right?
Yes.
That's economy.
Yep.
You have the lowering of the taxes.
You have North Korea.
If North Korea goes through,
let's talk about that at 9 o'clock. Let's talk about North Korea at 9 o'clock.
But sit over there and just I want to open up the mic and see if it's going to work. Because
sure.
Then we can just rip right through.
But if we turn around and you have Nikki Haley after 4 more years, right now, I think she's in a prime position, and her support. I read a poll, I don't know, even before the whole human rights thing. Her support nationwide, as the individual, is immense. It's just people just like her. Now, politically, you have to look at what she has done. Obviously she was a governor, and now she is the UN ambassador. She has said "fuck you" to so many people in the UN.
Literally,
her fingers I think got broken.
Yep.
And from just overuse, her middle finger, the knuckle. I think the doctor's working with it. It's kind of a big deal, et cetera, et cetera. That being said,
okay, it's working.
Nice.
Clint. Yep.
Nice.
You are up.
Nice.
And but now you add in the fact that she's female. She's not white.
True.
She is half Indian.
Hey, there we go. Now we got Clint on cam.
I was gonna say let's at least Clyde has to be in the picture at least.
Well, it's gonna get in my. Hang on, let me see if I can switch these.
Oh yeah, I could do that.
Oh,
There we go.
Nice. Look at that. Hang on.
Oh, now you're talking.
I had a bobcat.
Now you're talking.
I had a bobcat's ass in my face.
You and Clyde. you and Clyde just hanging out. So
we're buddies.
I think that if you put those two things together, Nikki Haley's almost a slam dunk. The difference is going to be that Congress needs to get their shit together. If Congress does not get their shit together, then conservatives in general are least likely to be after Trump. I think Trump locks up the next 4 with North Korea.
I
100%
think,
hands down. That alone,
between North Korea and the economy.
Yes.
Yeah. There's no doubt. And you know what's funny is there's he's already started. You're already starting to see Trump's numbers swing with the minority vote as well.
Oh hell yeah.
And I think the left is look. The best thing the Democrats can do, the fact that they're excoriating these jobs numbers, is freaking killing me. If they came out and said, "Hey, you know what? We congratulate the president on his economic policies. We think that America is doing the right thing because we at Congress haven't stepped in to stop him." And if they said, "We're working together to keep our economy strong, we're working with the president," and they took some ownership and they blunted that edge of the knife that he's just driving in them economically, they would maybe pick up some more seats or hold on to what they have.
They would garner more support
but they're not
from their blue dogs and the centrists, who now are more likely to lean towards Trump than ever. Well, and you saw Nancy Pelosi come out, I think it was last week or the week before, and said, well, we have a tax plan that's better than the current tax plan. Well, let's see it.
Yeah.
Well, you have to pass it.
Well, you have to pass it before you open it.
Like, you really think? Listen.
Hey, we tried that once.
Fool me once with that hole in the bathroom stall.
Right.
Shame on me.
Right. Fool me 7 times, and shame on you.
You're trying to say they have glory holes in D.C.?
Yes.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
We're trying to say Nancy Pelosi is a glory hole.
Tap under the door. But the reality of the fact is, when they're going back to that tactic, because that was the last thing that worked for them, that tells you a lot. And when you're starting to see young progressive Democrats saying, they're fucking us up. I don't like progressives. That's not my point. My point is they're fucking their own base.
Yes.
Or who they should be shooting
millennials now are even coming out and they're saying, oh, wait a second, there's jobs for us.
All of a sudden, there's jobs.
Yeah.
Wait, I may have a retirement. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I think I just made a command decision.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not taking a break. We're rolling on.
Okay.
Because I got to tell you why. Because this is such a rare occasion. I think we'd be fools not to take advantage of it.
Can you put the camera on me for a second?
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Shut it down, BZ. It's a trap.
Okay, fine. We're good. We're good.
No, he was just communicating secret information.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
To the satellite.
It's fine.
Yeah. Jesus.
We're good. We're good.
Dude, is Sacco going to pop out of the woodwork
Well, here's
or something?
a note in the USS Pueblo. How funny. Anyhow, no, it's right here from last week when I filled in for Clint.
Were you here last week?
I was here last week for you.
He was. It was
wow.
grand.
Yeah, thank you.
I filled in for you. Somebody had to do it.
That's
Very
right.
awesome.
Well, the other thing I should point out, however, is that
It was like Ted Williams returning from the war and hitting a home run in his
that's
first
right.
at bats.
On that day, however,
nailed it.
that you decided to come in, I should care to point out that it was your birthday.
It was my birthday.
So it was like a double play.
Happy 26th birthday.
Thank you, young man.
You
I
are
appreciate
welcome.
that very much. More than you know.
Yeah. Happy 26th.
Yeah.
You don't look a day over 22.
No, he doesn't.
So what were we going to talk about?
What aren't we going to talk about? Look, let's get into North Korea.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the bobcat on my shoulder right here. It's like the elephant in the room.
Bobcats on my shoulder make me happy.
So I like how the summit happened.
The summit almost didn't happen.
But you know what? But that was smart. Look, do you remember when Reagan was going to meet with Gorbachev, and then Gorbachev did something to piss Reagan off, and
And he
Reagan
said,
was
"No,
like,
fuck
"Yeah,
him."
fuck you. Then we're
I
not
know.
meeting."
This playbook is very familiar.
Oh yes.
Wait a minute,
Oh,
Reaganov.
yes.
That's a Russian dish, isn't it? Reaganov.
Reaganov.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It's actually a sex move.
Well, no. Yeah, okay.
I haven't
I
pulled a
thought that was the
Reaganov in a
Reagan
long
end.
time.
No, it's Reaganoff. It's if you're and never mind. I'm not going to explain it. Just
No, I
Google
know.
it. Safe
Yeah.
search off.
Yeah, that's true.
You'll see.
Yeah.
But I think that
Has to do with the bolo tying a chainsaw.
and a midget.
Just that yeah. That was a given.
I think Trump calling the summit off obviously was very Reagan-esque, and it set a tone. And Little Kim was like, "Oh shit, they're gonna kill me." I can't do the voice like you. I'm sorry. There you go. No U.S. president, no sitting president has ever met with a leader of North Korea.
Agreed.
So obviously huge. To get the meeting was relatively shorter than I thought it was going to be. Everybody thought it was going to be like a multi-day summit.
When there's not much to negotiate, you don't need to be hanging around for long.
Well, did you notice they did it backwards? They had the 2-hour personal meeting
Yes.
first.
Yes.
That was right up front. Then they went to the regular big
They had
meeting.
the meeting, the working lunch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And they came out and signed shit. Like right next to each other, signed shit.
Because you just put a 36-year-old nothing. He's a nothing as far as his worldwide prowess. He's a nothing. He's never dealt with anything.
Dealt with the president of the United States now.
But you put him in the room with a guy who is a master negotiator. You say what you want about Trump. I know left. The guy does business for a living. He negotiates for a living.
Yes.
And you just handed this kid to him.
Yes.
And then it was all of a sudden like, no, it's a good idea. No, we like that too. We like that too. I mentioned, I think, briefly last week, the key to this was Pompeo. Now, obviously, there was communication, right? And they made some sort of back channel connections to say, hey, we need our guys back, our 3 guys. When Pompeo went over, which brilliantly, because he went before he was confirmed, so the press wasn't all over him.
Yep.
Right. And he got some privacy and
got privacy.
not notoriety.
Nobody knew about it till they were on the way back. And you turn around, and that's the one-on-one of like, yeah, you gave us these 3 guys back, and that was pretty much the only bargaining chip you have. Hope to see you at the summit. And then Little Kim stomped his feet afterwards when he realized he'd done fucked up. And we're not going to the summit. America, fine, we'll cancel the summit. We'll go the hard route. You want to go the hard route? That's fine. You put generals on a board and kill them with ADAC guns. We put missiles up your ass. But listen, you guys make your choices. That's not up to us. But we're not dealing with this.
You're your own country.
You're not. Yeah, we're not dealing with this shit anymore. And then all of a sudden, the summit was back on.
I think that a couple big things out of this, obviously, right? The nuclear weapons commitment, huge deal, obviously. One site is already shut down and like cleared out, or like, oh look, it's here. Oh look, it's gone.
Yeah.
But
where did that go?
The returning of United States soldier
Enormous.
remains, and they already said that next week they're going to return 200.
Yeah.
Did I read that number right?
Yep. Yeah.
So first of all, what were they doing with these remains for the last
sitting on them
60 years?
Sitting on them.
Why?
Because to them,
why wouldn't they burn them, get rid of them, do something else, or maybe they buried them? They knew.
Well,
where
yeah,
they
that's the
them.
point. Why would you want to keep them in the first place?
Right.
Unless you're thinking they're gonna be a bargaining chip in the future.
Right. That could be food, rice, something like that,
right?
or a trophy,
or it's a mass grave. They know right where it is, right? So the returning of 200 soldiers,
enormous,
POWs, MIAs, that's huge.
200 families that get closure,
and for for people not to see what even if we get one of those bodies back, and everything else falls apart,
it's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
I agree wholeheartedly.
And Trump's not going to back down from this guy. It's not like this guy's just going to be like, okay, I changed my mind. And then Trump's going to go, oh, shit, we tried. Trump's going to be like, oh, you changed your mind? Okay, check this out.
So here's what check me out on this. Maybe I'm wrong. During that working lunch, I am positive that Trump had probably a steak flown in. And halfway through, Kim Jong-un eating, he goes, you want more of those? We have cows everywhere. Everywhere. We have fucking cows.
Oh, wait a
What's
minute.
it worth to you?
Don't you remember he had that video that he took, that he played as basically a piece of propaganda, which showed him, this is the kind of place you're missing. This is the kind of place you could be.
Yeah. Well, and so I do want to give credit. Look, and we talked about this a little bit last week, all these leftists, and how could you possibly meet with this evil dictator? And Trump nailed it when that woman asked him that, the interviewer. He goes, because I don't want to see your family killed with a nuclear weapon. Some press agent was like, well, how are you meeting with this horrific dictator, this guy from North Korea? And that's what he said to her getting on the plane. He's like, because I don't want to see your family blown up with a nuclear weapon, or my family. And it was like, But give credit to Kim Jong-un, or at least his advisors. Somebody got the message.
Yes.
We didn't see this a lot with the father, certainly not with the grandfather, because they both had more prosperity to deal with. They both had more food. They had more other things to keep their people at bay. Kim Jong-un or his advisors, somebody said, hey, look at China. Look at what China's doing right now. They're still communists. The president is still a dictator. He's just called president. I could also call him Foo-Foo Boy. He's still the dictator and the commissar, if you will, of that nation. Somebody got like, hey, you like having all this nice shit, these castles that you live in, all this food that you like to eat? We can get more of that. And we are the bargaining chip. Ending the war. That's the other thing that was missed in that when we were listed.
Yes.
To be able to say we've ended the armistice and we've ended the war.
Did they? I didn't know. Did that sign that?
No, but
not yet. Okay,
but I think that's a natural progression.
I would hope so. So, are you saying that Trump used food as the bargaining chip?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree.
And it would have worked on me.
Of course.
You know what? We have a
whiskey
problem.
Bourbon.
We have a problem for one of the first times that I've ever seen in an SHR show, and that's this. We have run out of chat space.
Nice.
I thought I paid for a 50 chat upgrade, and I could have sworn that you and I sent that in, and it's limited to 10, and now it indicates it's full.
Well, I'll double check the settings on that,
because if this portends for anything in the future, then we definitely need to expand the chat room.
So is it full with 10 or is it full with 50?
It's a limit.
It's at its limit right now.
It's saying,
I'll check the settings later.
Okay, it's saying it's full, and you know what? I'd love that. Who knows how many other people
are trying to get into chat?
Could be trying to get into chat.
Well, they could also be commenting on the YouTube video. There's comment space down there to be able to chat. The Spreaker page, there's a chat box there.
Yep.
And on Facebook as well, Facebook Live. So
I've been trying to get everybody over.
No, I'm just saying if you can't get
chat.
if you can't get into the main
That's
chat,
correct.
those are the other places you could go.
Yep.
Now, as far as NOCO, I do think that food was a big thing,
and energy.
And energy.
Look, I think energy also. What is it we're trying to export that we have a
natural
ton
gas?
Yep, natural gas.
We'll
help you get natural gas and use it as a power source for
everything.
Whatever.
Right? You can. There's more gas to heat kitchens, heat homes. It's cheap.
Yep.
It's relatively. It's really efficient.
And what did Trump do? He canceled the military exercises with the South,
which has been done before.
It has been done before. And is it that big of a deal?
No.
It's not. Do we know what they're doing? Do we know what they're doing? Do we coordinate with other militaries that we don't practice with on a regular basis?
Absolutely assigned to a strongman that we're right on your border. We can do this, and you can't stop us.
Yes.
That we've been doing for years.
Another thing this tells me is that means that Little Kim has the message.
Yeah.
He knows.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think he's very well aware of what's going on. I think he's very well aware of the score. And look, everybody... Dennis Rodman
is now a Trump fan.
You got to give him credit. You got to give the guy credit in the sense that he somehow forged a relationship with this guy, and even he came on the news and said, I was trying to tell the Obama administration about this for years, and nobody wanted to listen to me.
Yeah.
And then I went to Trump's people, and all of a sudden we're starting to talk about denuclearization of the North Korean peninsula. He wants to work with the outside world. He just needs somebody who's going to do it with him. And he respects a strong dude. He respects somebody. He's one of those people. The one thing the left blows on this all the time: dictators, strongmen understand other strong men.
Yes.
Because they respect them.
Leftists don't get the innate nature of humanity.
Exactly.
Is like in the Arab world. There's a great book called The Strong Horse, and that's what the Middle East practice of Islam believes on. Mm-hmm. They believe only in the strength. Mm-hmm. The other thing I should like to point out is that you'll notice that everything seemed to change after the second time that Real Kim got summoned to Beijing.
Yes.
Then things really changed.
Well, and you know, that's the other thing too. You got to give Trump credit there because his relationship with the Chinese president, same way, and I already heard people, well, he's communist, but look, how did we get rid of
Gorbachev?
Gorbachev and Reagan were tight friends. They were really close. They got along famously.
Yep.
Right? With Khrushchev, was it Khrushchev that he had the sweater meeting where they were outside in Norway or Sweden and it was like 15 below? And I think it was Khrushchev showed up for the meeting and he had this huge jacket and hat and all this other stuff. And Reagan walked around outside with the sweater for him for like an hour and a half.
Khrushchev was dead.
Okay, so yeah, whoever it was before Gorbachev.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Now you're taxing me.
But
Andropov. Yuri Andropov.
And Andropov had to ask Reagan if they could go inside to warm up. He understood that it's a strong man. It's a dictator. It's somebody you have to show that there's no fear. And you work with China, and hey, we have this relationship. He had this relationship with the Chinese president before becoming president. And he's utilizing that business relationship as it was to say, hey, this will benefit you.
Be careful what you say because there may be a China investigation.
There is a China investigation. Everything's going to be an investigation.
Yeah.
But hey, this is
right.
This is going to benefit you.
Yes, because he dealt with China on the business relationship.
Right.
And hey, this is going to benefit you. Hey, China, hey, dumbass. Riddle Kim, you better play ball.
Yeah. Hey, if we get rid of their nukes,
and
think
Putin
about
is like, oh shit.
You start watching.
Russia has been very silent on this
weird.
whole thing.
Weird, huh?
Have you noticed that? I haven't.
BZ.
I haven't seen any Russian reaction to the NOCO summit or to what's been signed.
BZ, have you heard anything from Russia on this?
No, and it's the funny thing when people are saying, I listen to Tucker Carlson, I agree with him on a lot of stuff, and I disagree with him on some other stuff. One of the things that I think he's been saying recently that I tend to definitely agree with is he says the bigger threat is not Russia, it's China. When all the leftists, the Democrats, and the American media maggots are trying to make this big deal out of Russia, you're basically you're indicating to a strong man that he's stronger than he really is. The strength in the economy, in the population, etc. It doesn't reside with Russia. It resides with China.
China
is the true lengthy down the world sort of 5 or 6 plays ahead threat. They're into Antarctica. They're into the Arctic.
So is Russia.
And so is Russia. And they're building islands.
And we're way behind because of the Obama administration.
Yeah, but
yes,
we now start playing the enemy of the enemy is my friend, right? So they get along very well with Russia, and they work really well with Russia. If all of a sudden you lose that support, and now you make China complicit and friendly with us, we may disagree with their political values. And who knows, as China has progressed, they've gone closer and closer to more of an American system outside of the final political voting system. But look, they're free capital, free market. It's free market communism. It's weird how that works.
It is weird, and all
they
because
didn't
of
want to
Hong
screw
Kong.
up Hong Kong. Yep, bingo. That's it. They didn't want to screw up Hong Kong.
Yep, Hong Kong was booming.
Yes,
but the British lease was up.
Right, but they learned something really quick, and this president is much more of a moderate than anyone before him, and I think I don't know the final numbers, but things like the human rights violations, all that other stuff has been lessened as he's gone on. I think he's starting to kind of prepare that country to shift, maybe not to away from communism entirely, but to more of a socialist environment where it's not the boot to the neck. It's still we can take everything, but we're going to do it nicely, which works for Amsterdam and a couple other countries. So if you now effectively you start to change the idea of China as a government, you have this relationship, you've made the region better. It's now one less dictator screwball with nukes in North Korea. You've ended the war between the South and the North, so now that if you're China, you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, you can have your little pop-off moments with Japan, and that's always going to be there no matter what. They're always going to argue because of the cultural difference more than anything else.
My dragon has 3 toes. My dragon has 5 toes.
There's just history that goes there. I mean,
did you know that's actually a thing?
Yes. I actually did know that, but I think you told me that.
Dragon toes.
Dragon toes.
Dragon toes.
Yes.
Not camel toes.
Not camel toes. So,
okay, I
dragon.
know
So
what dragon toes
Japanese dragons have 3 toes. Chinese dragons have 5 toes. Korean dragons have 4 toes. If you look at dragons in art, and some believe if dragons they originate in one area, and as they fly one way, they either gain or lose toes. That's kind of the lore behind the dragons.
I kind of thought they gained or lose time, not toes, for God's sake.
Gained or lose toes.
Toes and times. It's toes and times, my friends.
Nose and toes against the wall.
So I think what this goes to show you is that North Korea was waiting for the right person. And look, you have to realize Reagan was tied up with Russia. That was his big focus. And then they weren't even nuclear at that point. They weren't really a pester to the region. Then Clinton created the nuclear issue, as Obama did with Iran, if something isn't done with that soon. But why should history repeat itself yet again? Clinton created that problem. Bush was the Middle East 9/11. That was his focal point. Right, wrong, or indifferent. We can argue.
Right.
Right. But that's where his focus was. And then you had Obama, who didn't have a focus.
Yes, he did. Make America apologize for everything, look bad, we're subservient to everybody else.
Leading from two points.
Leading from behind. Yep.
And strategic patience.
Right.
That was the Obama doctrine.
Which it's really funny because for the Obama administration that truly pulled everything back and let the world kind of go crazy, and then when other people have said that, like when Trump was like, well, I think we should start taking care of more things at home, and people are like, oh, you're insane. How could you do this to the world? We're supposed to be a leader. It's like we haven't been a fucking leader in 8 years.
Yeah.
We can still lead. We just have to do it differently. And it's proven that we can still lead.
And we have to lead by example.
Yes.
Not we're going to let things go to shit here just so we can tell you what to do.
But that's only how you can deal with other countries. That's not going to deal with ideologies that way because they don't have borders. Countries have borders. Countries have people. Countries have needs. Ideology is a totally different argument, which is how ISIS came to be.
It's funny, in chat, Kaiser Schaff is saying that China tried to undermine the deal at the last minute.
Well, I think China wanted a bigger chunk of the deal at the last minute. But
yeah, I could see that. I could see. I think China wants a deal because they understood that Little Kim was pissing us off to the point where military action was
going to happen.
Was going to happen at some point. I think China did not want that because of what that scenario plays out to be. I think that they wanted the meeting, but I think maybe at the last minute they were really afraid, knowing that Trump is such a master negotiator. They were worried about what little Kim would give up,
If
and
all
maybe,
of a sudden his allegiance would change entirely.
Well, maybe that's why they said, we want to postpone this so that we can kind of coach you some more. I could see that, but I would be surprised if China didn't want the meeting to go through, just because it was going to go to military action.
And I also look at the history with Russia and the fall of communism. One of the biggest things that happened is communism fell first, and then there was a lot of nuclear weapons that were at stake. There was suitcase bombs that were taken. There was a lot of things that went bye-bye. Mm-hmm. If we're going to topple, if you will, the regime as we know it in North Korea, maybe it'll change, but Trump's doing it the other way around. Let's take care of all your nukes first. Let's take care of that.
Yep.
And then let's have the conversation about maybe letting your people vote. Start to go that route. Do it the other way around. And if you're China, that's best case scenario, because let's be honest, if somebody's going to escape that country with the suitcase bomb, where are they going? Not fucking Russia.
Yeah. Or hey, we'll let you stay in power, but hey, let's make your people really love you, not just live in fear with you. Let's feed them.
Yeah.
Look at all the great things you can do for your people.
Let's give them a shower.
You brought this for the people.
Let's give them a shower.
Yeah.
I also think that North Korean soldier that escaped, and it was such ridiculous condition, embarrassed him, and I think really brought to the forefront that things needed to change. When you're also sending your soldiers out on their time off to go forage for food.
Yeah, I don't think he gives a shit about that. I really don't. I think he cares about his own.
But it's the image that it gives to the whole world.
I think he cares about his own image, and I think he cares about his own survival. And he understood that he can't survive on the world stage, but he certainly can't survive in his own country for much longer.
What did that expose? That exposed the fact that the fighting personnel would not be up to par. So that propaganda, in his opinion, falls away. We never believed in it, but he did, right? So in his mind, the decision maker, he's believing his own bullshit.
Yep.
And now it's out that, hey, this guy was supposedly on an important unit in the North Korean military, and he's still not being fed well. What's going to happen if they invade? Who's going to be fighting in the streets? It's going to be these guys. Well, now, in his mind, our perception is much less like, we're not really worried about 3.5 million of them, because none of them can walk for more than 8 minutes. You know what I mean? And I think that plays a role into it too, because he is becoming more self-aware, I think, is what's going on
the global stage, right?
Yeah, I think he grew up with, like I said, he probably grew up believing that he was born in a mountain. I'm sure he was shocked as anyone else when he realized he pooped. Other things like how he can't drive a car, even though the books are saying. I think he's a little bit more self-aware. There's technology. The people are waking up.
He's like, wait a second. I was told this, and that's clearly bullshit.
Well, and there's other things too. Like in North Korea, it's told that any of the presidents, if you will, don't defecate. That's a thing that's taught in school to the children. But yet, when he was in Singapore and when he was in South Korea, it is. I hand to God, it's 100% what is taught. He was also able to drive a car at 3. His father, the first time that he played golf, had like 9 hole-in-ones and was like 15 under par, some ridiculous number, right? That's the propaganda that they teach. But what did the whole world see? Him driving around with his own private restroom, right? So at some point, he has to know that stuff is wearing off, that mystical bullshit that they instilled into the people. Technology is going to weed its way in, whether you want it to or not.
Yep.
And who would you rather deal with? Would you rather deal with the Americans and the idea that you had of turning your people into loving you, or deal with the Americans giving the people who hate you arms, feeding them on their own, and now the revolution comes and you're no longer in charge of shit because your head's hanging high?
Yep.
So if you were so worried about your image and maintaining control, you'd rather have your people happy and love you versus trying to kill you.
Hey, let me show. I wonder if on the iPad, President Trump showed him the video of like Gaddafi
would be awesome
coming out of the hole, or like Saddam Hussein coming out of the hole.
You mean Saddam Hussein?
Saddam Hussein. Well,
coming out of
Gaddafi
the
was
hole.
drugged through the streets.
Yeah, he was drugged through, bleeding and dead through the streets. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they shot him in the head, right? They shot Gaddafi in the head.
I think they
and
shot
then
him in the
dragged
chest a
through.
couple times and then dragged him through because his head. I didn't remember seeing a gunshot wound in his death photos. But you've had other dictators too who amazingly just
What did they do? They hung Saddam, right?
Yeah, but that was after a trial
and everything,
a trial
right?
by his own people. But that's what happens when your people are angry at you. That's what happens when your people are angry
What if
at
his
you.
attorney looked at him and said, "You're fucked"?
Oh, he was defiant to the very end. He didn't recognize the court. He didn't recognize the people. This was not the will of Iraq. This is not their law. Right up until he said,
Yeah, this is not my bullet, by the way, either.
yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, no, sorry. It's not my garrote.
Yeah, this one's not my grot. These aren't my stairs. That's not my hangman. What the hell is going on here? Bill, you remember me?
Yeah, Ernest and Julio's gallows, 2 ropes, no waiting.
Yes, all day long.
Yep.
So, if you're Kim Jong-un, and maybe you do finally have that advisor, and it could be his sister, right?
But how big are the balls on that advisor?
You have to.
Hey, you got to go in and tell him that.
Well,
he's got. Fuck, I got to tell him what.
And here's
you see what happened to the last guy that told him
Here's
that?
why I think it was the sister, and this is why I think she was at the Olympics with Pence. I think the sister has traveled outside the country enough to know. I think the sister is probably a little bit more reasonable. I think the sister kind of understands the writing on the wall. The sister was also ridiculously popular in North Korea. And as an individual, as a person, apparently the people really enjoy her. So if all of a sudden she shows up dead and he kills her, they're going to go, well, wait a minute, why does he just kill At some point, that question's going to come up. So she comes back from South Korea for the Olympics, and the conversation was had. Oh, by the way, I bumped into the Vice President of America. Funny story. Do you like eating? Because we liked it while we were in South Korea. We ate like a son of a bitch. Everyone ate. Everybody ate. We had a great time. So here's the deal. And I think that's where the channel of communication was truly open. I think Pence was critical in that. I think Pence and his wife, while they're in, I absolutely agree, while they're in South Korea, that's where that first, we need to talk. And we're willing to have some conversations with you. Because from all we know, our back channels with North Korea have been absolutely minimalized. Because the last thing that Kim Jong-un wanted was any sort of coup. And if we had back channels, the potential for coup goes through the roof, right? So that's why it's so stringent in that country. That's why there's no immigration in that. All that shit's shut down. That's why if you look at it at night, only Pyongyang's lit up and everything else is in the dark on purpose. At some point, she had to have understood that there's probably a better way. Either by niceties, maybe Mrs. Pence and her got along really well, or, maybe Mike had his own video.
Whoa, of her and Mrs. Pence?
Yeah. No, maybe he had his own iPad video. Be like, hey, let me show you what we can do. See, this is the Moab. Funny. No nuclear whatsoever, but it would take out every palace you ever had.
It stands for Mother of All Bombs.
Yeah. I know you come from the fatherland.
Yeah.
Mom's going to bomb it. You know what I mean? Or it was the other conversation of, hey, why does he keep doing this? There's a better way. Look at what China did. Look at how China advanced. China was nothing 50 years ago. China was still a pissant country.
We had to help defend China against the Japanese.
In World War II, that's right. And even after that, until Hong Kong came on board, as you mentioned earlier, economically, they were a fucking nothing burger whatsoever. They did nothing. And they saw the mistakes that Russia made. Ooh, we're all over it now. Oh. They saw the mistake that Russia made with communism and the Soviet Union, let me specify. And China's changing its ways. They've gone to that free market system. I said a couple years ago on the show is eventually I think you're going to see communism weed out of China because it's just not effective to grow their economy further.
Yeah, or like you said, they're already some form of hybrid thing because they'll still have to maintain their power.
But will they? So here's the thing, though. Their president is now more of an elected position than it used to be. There's a wink, wink, nudge, nudge there, too. But look at other countries where there's wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You maintain that power.
Yeah.
And you're not communist because they know that
Canada.
veil of Canada. Trudeau.
By the way, we haven't talked about that douchebag yet either.
That douche nozzle. But yeah, you have to at some point think that all of these started coming together after the Olympics, and I think Mike Pence was complete. Which it doesn't shock me that no credit has been given to Mike Pence because he's not a credit type of guy.
He doesn't seek credit.
Nope. But you can't tell me that there's not a coincidence that his sister didn't spend the whole time there, that Pence was there, that they sat near each other at some point. I think that with Pompeo bolstering that and moving things forward, you had the negotiator negotiate. And amazingly, here we are.
Okay, hey, we got a call.
Oh Lord,
from Kaiser Schuff.
We don't want to say who. Well, never mind.
Okay. Well, you were on the darn show last night. There's no reason not to say.
Yeah, no. I was just because I was going to go into deep things, but I won't go so deep now. Anyways,
I fight $1.
Yeah.
I called this stuff way before anybody else did because I happen to know stuff.
Okay.
And that's all anybody needs to know. But it's fact, and it's out there on the internet. Now, here's the other thing that I'll tell you. I'm hearing a lot of guessing. A lot of people are thinking it's the stepsister, right? Or the sister, right? Mm-hmm. I've seen two different things bantied about in the chat. No, I think the guy's name is Choi or Cho. I can't think of his name, but he's the former intel guy from Kim Jong-il, okay?
The father.
And, yeah, exactly. And he's held in high respect by Kim Jong-un.
Mm-hmm.
And I do know, people forget, Rodman's dad was naval intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, if people think he went over there all by himself, they're sadly mistaken. When you think, look, in 91, 92, when I was over there for Team Spirit, Valiant Blitz, people listening who have been to Korea know these ops, and bear hunt as a Marine. I have lived in Korea. When I hear people try to explain the Asian culture, and I'm going to be 50, I've spent over a quarter of my life in both the Far East and the Near East. This is a fact. I understand the people. What I'm hearing is a lot of people guessing, okay? What I saw with Trump, first off, China, they're not going to do anything. China's never waged a foreign aggressive war that they've ever won, and they know this. That's fact. Remember the Divine Wind, the kamikaze, when China tried to invade Japan? They remember their history. That's why I said in the chat, Nikki Haley pulling down a flag in her own state was a bad move, because those that forget their history, it doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme. And people need to remember all history, good and bad. Now, the Orientals do believe that. Now, you guys did get something right. A strong man always going to be listening.
I saw that.
To another strong man. What'd you see?
No, that's all right. Keep.
Okay.
You're talking about the strong man. So what you're saying is you think Russia is the greater threat. Is that what you're stating?
No, I'm saying not at all. What I'm stating is Russia is the one who supplied the Norcos. This is back when they were communists. People forget they're not communists anymore. They live by Juche. Everybody forgets there's shades of stuff. The flag may not have changed, but their philosophy has changed. Juche is nothing more than survivalism, okay? That's why you see a lot of these things going on there right now, because the point is that the North Koreans will survive. Now, the point that I'm trying to get to that's very easy and basic to understand is Kim Jong-un was, and I heard some people saying the sister traveled more. No, they both went to, and along with the brother that he assassinated, they all went to school in Switzerland. Mm-hmm. They know the West as well as they know the East because they spent their developing years in the West. What his fear was, he would end up, and that's why Bolton, that's why somebody made a comment, and I said, it's a neocon comment. when Bolton was added, Bolton stepped on his own slong. And the reason for that is he said, yeah, we know how to deal with that, just like we did in Libya. Well, that automatically, the Chinese, already Z was telling him, hey, they're just going to deal with you like they do everybody else and backstab you. And that caused some trepidation and caused it to get called off. So when people think that China's our friend, they're wrong.
Oh, well, hell, yeah. They are not by
Yeah.
any stretch.
Exactly. But Kim Jong-un has done several things to prove, and the added bonus of getting I've heard people say MIAs. They weren't MIAs. We knew they were killed in Korea. They were KIAs, killed in action, folks, instead of missing in action. And they were being held like the hostages.
Well, they were bargaining chips.
Also got released. Exactly. But that happened after. That was an afterthought. As Trump was signing his paper, you see him lean over and say, what about the KIAs we have over there? Can we get them home? And Kim Jong-un said, sure. Yeah. It wasn't a big deal to him. And this is the kind
Well,
of thing.
I don't know if that's necessarily an afterthought or just at that point you already had him agreeing to things and you have him on a world stage and you put it on him when he can't say no. You have to give.
Well,
I think you can give a little credit to that negotiation.
No.
He can always say.
Always.
He can always say no, but at that point, when especially if he's trying to break into the world a little bit more and be a little bit more, like you said, to survive, a little bit more social, he can't turn around after he's agreeing to do the nuclear aspect of it, just to save face value. And again, he's an image guy. You can't turn around when he's like, oh, by the way, can we have our dead back? Yeah, no, that's not going to happen because that's going to change a lot of things.
When you say save face, you just said something that's an Oriental phrase, but what I'll tell you that you fail to realize is that is another bargaining chip. And he gave it away for nothing.
Well, he may not.
And it was not a matter. If you think about it in the Oriental way, it was a good faith giving to you that, yes, not only did I blow up one of my test sites, I let your people see it, but you know what? Yeah, I'll let you have your people back. Your hostages back. You're dead.
Right.
And most of the families are gone except for the grandchildren from these Korean War vets. So that's a throwaway, but he didn't have to do it. You and I, Westernly, we see this as a throwaway. Have you guys read Michael Mouse's book on Dear Leader?
No, but I don't look at that as a throwaway. I didn't
question.
look at that as a throwaway, and that's what I was saying. I didn't look at that as a throwaway at all. What I was looking at is whether you can say good faith or whatever, but I said the timing of when Trump pushed that aspect of it, I think was brilliant on behalf of the negotiation part, because now you've already having him saying yes to all these things. It's an easy one to get him to say yes to. But if you're Trump and you're trying to bring that information back and good news back from the summit, it's a major good news aspect of it, obviously.
I'm confused on something.
Well,
you said their political. Hang on, I'm confused on something. You said their political ideology was Juche, or their political system. Juche is an ideology, right? That's where the dear leader is the primary. So it's an ideology.
And we have to
they're a dictatorship for their form of government, and they're like a communist light or a quasi communism. So I'm concerned where Sean missed the mark on that. Because communism just denotes everything is owned by the public or by the government, which it is in North Korea.
Okay, go on.
No, so I was wondering, those are two different things. I mean, Juche is an ideology, which it is, and the dictatorship is the form of government, which it is, and they have to. The reason they're referred to as communism is because everything is owned by the government, which is communism by its very definition.
No, it's not. It's actually fascism.
No, it's not. Fascism and communism are two separate sides of the. No, it's not. Fascism and communism are both total governments. One is government control of everything. One is government owning of everything. So,
government controls everything, which is fascism.
But in North Korea, doesn't the government own everything, or no?
They don't own everything. They control everything.
So they have private ownership, private companies in North Korea.
They have company ownership. That's what Juche is. That's what the survival thing is. You have the mining operations. You have the black market. That's honestly, you guys should read Michael Malice's book, Dear Leader, and it'll rev you up real quick on it. It's not a communist system anymore. It's a more fascistic system.
But black markets aren't owned by private. I mean, they are by private individuals, but they're not a lawful organization, correct?
A piece of it.
Unlawfully.
You still have black markets in South Korea.
Yeah, of course you do. But that's not part of the political system. That's a byproduct of.
Because everybody gets the graft from it.
But that's not the lawful part of the system.
It doesn't have to be lawful. If it works, it works. That's what I meant by Juche is survivalism, survival of the people for dear leader. Are you getting me now? Am I tracking now?
Well, I don't know, because I think you're saying a couple different things. I understand what you're tracking with Juche now. You said it was their political system, and now you're saying it's their ideals, that everything is for their survival, for the dear leader. So I think that part's on track. But right. They're a dictatorship in that, and I understand you're saying the black market is a part of the economy, and it is. The black market is a part of the economy, but it's not part of a political system in terms of defining what a country is. That's like saying we have a black market here in the United States, therefore we're fascist. That's not accurate, because what makes a government it's a lawful government is their main lawful ideology, or their main lawful means of doing that commerce.
During this conversation, have I said that North Korea was a lawful government? Just a question.
Well, they do have law, correct?
Yeah, they have the law of the dictator.
Right,
but they're still sovereign.
But they're still a sovereign. They're still a sovereign country.
So if the dictator says for survival, and this was put down not by Kim Jong-un but by Kim Jong-il.
Right.
If the dictator says for survival, that's when Juche came out. You will do whatever it takes to get our product out and our product in, and also tunnel under, get into South Korea, get stuff from them. This has been what's been going on. The taking of weapons to Syria, the taking and picking up of stuff from other countries like Russia. These kind of things, when you see ships out at sea doing this stuff, and you guys can all look this up. Hidden in sugar was missiles, right?
No, I'm not disagreeing with you on. I'm not disagreeing with you on any of that. And I think maybe we're saying two different things, or we're misconnecting wires here, because I think we're explaining two separate things and trying to say it's the same thing. So nobody's disagreeing with you that any of that stuff has happened. And nobody's disagreeing that Juche, that they're not doing everything for dear leader, right?
Let me sum this up from a third-party standpoint.
Yeah, go ahead.
And maybe I can. So their official political system, when they sit around and they allegedly vote on things as to like who's going to get killed with what AT-AT gun or whatever, when they have their official government ceremonies, when they have their official government writings, when they have the official makeup of their government, it is a more fascist system, but
dictatorship.
It's a dictatorship, right? It is a dictatorship. However, the ideology of the dictator and the ideology that's pushed upon the people is out of Juche. So the two exist simultaneously.
Correct. One's an ideology and one's a political system.
Well,
right.
See, the ideology
drives the political system
because it's all driven by the dictator.
Right.
So the Politburo has no power, so there's no communist bureaucracy. It's at the whim of the dictator.
Right.
Okay. With all companies. Okay.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
With all companies and all services and all transactions, everybody gets a smear. They all get a cut.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Honestly, Michael Malice's book breaks it down even simpler. I'm giving you the simplest hillbilly facts because I'm a hillbilly from Ohio. I'm telling you how I understand it, even though I speak some Korean.
Mm-hmm.
I lived there for a while,
mm-hmm.
and I understand these folks.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really hard to put it out because Juche came out in the 90s. And so the late 90s when Kim Jong-il took power.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed from communism, and there was even major news reports. You guys can look it up where the whole thing is changing. And that's why you saw Clinton even saying, well, I can work with this man. And he gave up nuclear stuff to the, well, I'm not going to get into how he did that through China. But anyway, so it filtered down.
Right.
And then the Chinese, this is where I agree with you guys, have used him as a power of influence for the Korean Peninsula. But nobody can doubt the real brotherly love, and they called themselves brother. When you see them cross, and he crosses over to the south, and he goes, brother, I dream for the day, I'm translating now a little bit, for that I can walk north. And he goes, well, why don't we do it now? And he grabs his hand, and you see Moon with that happy smile, and they walk to the north.
Mm-hmm.
And it was beautiful.
I agree.
Nobody can doubt it. I cried.
I think that was a tremendously moving moment. That was incredible, and I think was lost on a lot of people. But I agree with the symbolism of that and how serious the two men and the two countries took that moment.
Oh yeah, and that's what you guys did get a lot right. I hope I didn't sound like I was nitpicking.
No,
yeah, you did.
There was a couple little things. Okay, fine.
Look, I'm not going to lie to you. We have an open, honest relationship here, right?
Yeah. I want to.
Okay.
Yeah. That's fine. We're laughing. But I really wasn't. I just was like, I wanted to get a couple definitions right for the conversation, that you knew where I was coming from, so we could have the open and honest conversation. And I think that's important.
I agree. So I think, but when it came down to me, and you and Clint had the Duce dictatorship, fascist communism, to a point, none of that matters in the sense of the dictatorship is what gives him the power to decide how he wants the country to go.
Exactly.
Either via Duce or whatever. I mean, he could go, I don't care if he wants pots and pans to be the new currency. He has that option. But what that has formed into over the last year specifically is it looks like Kim Jong-un has maybe, and you said the advisor, the Intel director, former director of Intel, maybe is influencing. And he may be so. I think the sister plays a key role because that circle is so small, and
she's the sexy face. In all honesty,
but I
the
think
sexy face.
I think with him as an individual, the sister plays a key role in some of his decision making. I think that she's able to be kind of the whisperer, if you will. The Intel
I would agree.
The Intel director may be the idea man. And she may be very, very close to him saying, no, we need to do a lot of things different. But I think she's kind of the horse whisperer, if you will, in selling that message to him in a positive way that gets him to agree. Because if you've seen him publicly over the last 2 months or since the South Korean summit, even his demeanor is entirely different as an individual. He is much more jovial and happy. And so at some point...
And pliable.
Yes, absolutely. And I think at some point... either the light went on or he had an honest-to-God truthful moment with himself of saying, you know what, there is a better way to do this, and if I'm really supposed to take care of my people... And I don't want to get killed. And I don't want to die. Dying's always bad. Nobody likes the death.
And he also found out about the rod of God in the first meeting.
Yeah, I hope so.
No. I mean, that negates any bunkers you have.
Oh, yeah. It negates a lot of things.
It does, but... In frankness, you guys did say something that I was like, yay, I was yelling about. And,
all right.
I'm telling you, man, it was awesome. Because as I'm listening to you guys, you're talking about going over to the Olympics. Of course, that happened. The meeting, our media wanted to try to make it look like, oh, look, she just can't stand Pence. No, there were inroads being made. And Rodman... Here's the best part. This is where I was going, yay. I have a brother of mine I do a show with who is from Korea. He's living there. He's an expat from Canada and, of course, in the South.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting part is Rodman, you could see how he was heartbroken that Obama had the opportunity to do this. And Obama declined. And there is something called a neocon and a liberal con. or a progressive con, whatever you want to call it. I look at it as two snake heads eating and feeding the same snake body in our country. And they will do everything they can to undermine it. Obama approved it. GW approved it. George Herbert Walker approved it. This was before my lifetime, but during my lifetime.
Yeah, but not before mine.
Only Nixon could go to China.
Mm-hmm.
JFK was probably the last great Democrat leader.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can point to Reagan being the next Republican leader that was worth anything. And right now, Trump is not a Republican. He's not a Democrat.
He's just
Trump. He is just a populist.
He's a populist.
Yeah.
And he's the one making a difference right now. So all these people that poo-poo him, it's sad.
Yeah. Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah. That's my 2 cents. I mean, gents, I would love to. I could chat with you guys all night and stuff, and I'll chat as long as you want. But I'm telling you, you guys got a lot of stuff right. That's why I was trying to tell you. I only had a couple bones to pick. I did want to ask you guys, can you please read Michael Mouse's book? I think it'll elucidate a lot more about what Juche is.
I just bought it on Amazon.
I just elucidated in my pants. That word got me going.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Did it feel good?
It was
warm?
amazing. It was.
It's
really
warm
is.
on this side of the table, too. I don't even know how you did that.
impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God I'm way over here from you.
No, it'll reach in a second.
Are you sure?
Oh, yeah.
It's a goer.
It's airborne, baby. It's airborne.
No, hey, Kaiser, one of the things we love in this show is we'll banter back and forth.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
We'll bicker and we'll argue with anybody.
And with each other.
As long as you're going to have the conversation with us, we're willing to have it.
Yep.
And we've had other people that we've told in the past, we may not always agree with you. That doesn't mean we don't like or respect you, or that doesn't mean we're not going to do the research and then find out that we maybe we were wrong. I think it happened that one time, right?
No,
it
didn't.
No,
it never has. It might tonight.
No, we were close one time, but even that was wrong.
All right.
I look forward to one day sharing with you guys about what really happened with Gerald Bull. I'm just not going to do it tonight.
Sounds good.
There's some. I'll give you a breadcrumb. Oregon, when a guy filed a Freedom of Information Act from their FEMA office.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see this thing about, and I did a video on it. BZ can tell you where to find it. I'm not going to pimp my stuff on your show.
Pimp it.
But
pimp it.
Pimp it.
It's all small letters, sword point 9, and it's on YouTube.
Okay.
And in all honesty, I did a show on this, and it's about EMP and also electromagnetic weapons, and it covers a lot of, when you guys were talking about, I wish I could have gotten on when you guys were talking about that, because I was agreeing with everything except for there were just minor tweaks. The Space Force, which is a space navy, because remember, navies travel across open seas, and you're talking about traveling across open space.
So is your theory that space is full of water? Is this going to be another discussion that we're going to have?
Yeah, basically, man, it's just water, man.
Hey, with me, space is full of vodka. Okay. Good God, people, wake up.
Space is full of vodka martinis with filthy. It's the brand name, by the way.
Okay, you got my attention right now.
Filthy olives.
Yes.
That's what you put in it. Yeah, oh yeah.
I knew a girl named Filthy Olive.
Isn't it great? Did she like buggery?
Is my microphone on?
Okay,
right
listen. I don't care what happens from now till the end of the show. All I got to say is Clint just got the comment of the entire fucking night. Right there.
Yes, he did.
Bingo.
You rocked that.
Clint, you win for the night. I'm simple. End of statement. I'm done.
I'm too tired.
I'm dropping the mic.
Filthy olive. I'm going to have to clean up after that one.
Yeah. Yeah, so did I.
Kaiser, you get my...
That was fucking great, okay?
Can we get a shot of penicillin, please?
Hey, on that note, We need a Filthy Olive poster in here, just so you know. Like, we need to make one. We need to do an SHR shirt, Filthy Olive.
Oh, God.
I'll take a picture of it, and I will
Hey,
send it.
you know
I'll
what?
Send a picture.
Listen,
Please, tweet it at us.
I've done Cafe Press stuff before for you sitting over there.
Yes,
There's no
you
reason
have.
saying that I can't do a Cafe Press thing for Behind the Chair.
Kaiser, if you could put it on the Facebook video, this video on Facebook, and add the picture, that would be miraculous.
Oh, my God. Boy, would we do some shit with that.
Oh, God.
I will. You know
Holy
what?
crap.
Filthy Olive is now your guys' mascot.
Yes. Hashtag Filthy Olive.
Awesome song.
You know, I heard she lives in either Oakhurst or Rio Linda. I'm not sure where, but like one of the two places.
Yeah,
I think.
either way, though, you throw a rock at her and she comes around. Anyhow.
She comes around for $2.
Well, she comes for. Well, you know what? It's not important.
It's not important right now.
No.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Shit, man.
Nobody-
the bar is open, folks.
Nobody
The
should
bar is
mention the Star of the North.
Oh, God.
Ever.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, I got nothing. Let's go ahead and wrap it up on that because.
Okay. Hey, Kaiser, we're gonna have to sign off.
Kaiser, it was a pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
Lovely meeting you.
Nice meeting you too, my man. Take care.
See you, dude. Oh my God!
You missed this. You missed
I've been on
this.
video this whole time, rubbing my eyes like this.
I missed that.
Oh, God.
Listen, I can't.
And this has turned into a special edition of
I
the Sack Heads
capture
Radio
everything.
Show.
Boy, this has. Listen, I want to tell you, if there was ever a Sack Heads Radio show that I've had the pleasure of monitoring the chat room in, this has been, without a doubt, the most active chat room
show
that I have ever seen in the history of Sack Heads.
And this is
and I got emails from people trying to get in who couldn't get in.
Nothing draws a crowd like a crowd.
It's you, brother. It's you. You come back and people want to be here.
Hey, you know what?
People want to listen. They listen to the chat show when the crew is complete.
It's really not my fault I'm that fucking popular.
No, it kind of is. If you weren't so fucking awesome, like maybe the rest of us would have a goddamn chance.
And purdy, you got a real purdy mouth on you, boy.
I can't even argue that. I do.
I'm going to use the rod of God on Filthy Olive.
I am going to do something with that. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I am doing something with Filthy Olive. Holy Mother of God.
That should be on the back of the shirt.
What?
Holy Mother of God.
or I'm doing something.
Dude, we need a great picture. Like, I need like a green shirt with Filthy Olive, like SHR, Filthy Olive, and just we need like patches.
Patches.
Like with Velcro.
Patches.
Official olive of SHR Media.
Filthy Olives.
Oh, Lord. Hey, thanks to Kaiser for calling in tonight, and a very, very interesting.
This was a great damn show.
Great show.
Here's what I loved about that exchange. You hear a lot about communism, fascism. I think that one of the things that drew out very, very well, and the dictatorship, is the separation of the three, and the idea of ideology influencing that one person who makes that decision for the entire nation. So therefore, it becomes that ideology for the nation. Educational. And that's why I love when we have those sort of bickering arguments and the fun arguments, and we love the hell out of it.
I think we were splitting hairs.
Yeah, of course you were. It's you.
Right.
Jesus.
Look, when am I at my fucking best?
No,
when did I bust out with a Filthy Olive comment?
Dude, you're at your absolute best when you're trying to nitpick somebody into insanity.
Yes, when I'm being a fucking a-hole.
Yeah. No,
That's when I'm at my best.
Dude, I agree. You're at your absolute best.
You're at your best when you're being a contrarian, just
Just
be
for the
a
sake of
fucking
being
contrarian.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. Oh my God.
No one will ever say, be like, I miss Clint. Be like, yeah, I never saw that one pissed off guy walking up behind him with the bat. Really? Yeah, I didn't see that coming either. No. Totally saw it coming.
Yeah, so fucking shocked me.
Yeah. And I didn't even know where the priest got the bat. That was the weird part. Didn't even see it under the robe.
Really, Sean? 'Cause this looks like you tossing it to him.
And what was the
Fucker had it
chicken?
coming.
What was the chicken doing with the hose on its legs anyway? Do you know how hard it is to put hose on a chicken?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do
you know
too.
how hard it is to put a chicken in a hoe? Listen, guys, it's been awesome.
It has been.
I appreciate you guys letting me sit in.
Thank you for staying awake for us.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. What do you mean letting you stay in?
Hey, we've discussed this. I'm just a guest at this point.
No.
Good Lord.
Thank you.
I'm not just a guest, but I play one on the Shout Show.
That's right. This has.
Oh, by the way, did I mention I'm part of an owner too?
You're not just a guest, but you have a huge nose. Go ahead, BZ.
Not just a guest, but I own this fucking shit. Some of it.
Hey, listen. Okay, here's owner 1. Here's owner 2. And here is the Shout Show. So, folks, thanks for listening tonight. You got to come back for BZ's show tomorrow night. We're going to have Robert Brandt on. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, the camera's got to go on you for that.
Look at me,
so
I'm
thanks for
Clint.
being here. And come back next Wednesday. We had no fun. Okay, no fun on the show.
No fun at
I
all.
fucking
That's
hate
right.
you.
No fun allowed. Okay. Good night, folks.
Good night, everyone.